Welcome to this heartfelt story about love, loss, and the power of hope through a father's eyes. We invite you to listen carefully and feel the emotions that shaped this family's journey. My name is Tom. I am a father. There is a big empty space in my heart. It has stayed empty for many years. That space has a name. Its name is James. James is my son. He was a happy little boy, only 6 years old. His eyes were bright and full of curiosity. He had a wonderful, loud laugh. His favorite toy was a small red ball. He played with it all the time. I remember his last birthday so well. He was excited about his new blue bicycle. He rode it all around our small yard. His tiny shoes always stayed by the front door. Seeing those shoes made me happy. Our house was filled with his joyful sounds. Then one day, all those sounds ended. It was a sunny summer afternoon. We were in our backyard together. I was fixing a broken wooden fence. My wife Sarah was reading her book. James was playing on the green grass with his red ball. I looked away for just one short minute. Just one small moment. When I turned back, the red ball was on the grass, but James was gone. The yard became silent. We shouted his name again and again. "James, where are you?" We searched every room in our house. We checked the whole street. He was just gone. A terrible fear filled my stomach. It was sharp and cold. Our little boy was missing. We called the police. Many police cars came to our street. Our neighbors came outside to help look for him. When the sun went down, the night was dark. People searched with big flashlights. The lights moved across the dark yards. That first night, without our boy, was freezing cold. It was the longest, darkest night of my whole life. The next days felt like a blur. The search for James kept going. The police asked us so many questions. Posters were everywhere in town, with James's happy face on them. I carried his photo in my pocket every day. Seeing his picture on trees and walls hurt so much. It was hope, but also deep pain. I walked around the city for hours and hours, showing his picture to many strangers. "Have you seen this boy?" I would ask. Our friends and neighbors were kind. They brought us food, so we didn't have to cook. They helped us look. Every time the phone rang, my heart jumped. Every time someone knocked on our door, I ran to answer. Every time, it was the same mix of hope and fear, but there was never good news about our missing son. Hope became something that hurt. It lifted my heart up, then broke it again. One day, the police called with news. A woman in another town had seen a boy like James. We drove to that town in silence. My wife and I did not speak. We were full of hope and fear. At the police station, we waited in a small, quiet room. My hands shook. My heart was beating so fast. Then the officer brought the boy in. It was not James. It was another boy with a different face. Our hope was crushed. It turned to dust. The drive home was silent and sad. That false hope was worse than anything. It broke our spirit. After that day, a quieter sadness filled our house. Weeks turned to months. Months turned into years. The official police search ended. The posters on the trees faded. But in our hearts, the search never ended. We kept looking for our son in the faces of other children. Our deep sadness changed our home. Sarah and I became different. We were quiet and far from each other. Sometimes we argued about small things. Our grief was like a tall, invisible wall between us. She would cry in James's empty room. I would go on long, lonely walks. We could not comfort each other well. We never changed James's room. It stayed exactly the same. His toys were still on the shelf. His bed was made. The room was like a small museum for our lost son. It was a sad and quiet place. It was the empty space in our house and our hearts. One evening, I saw Sarah in his room. She was holding James's red ball and crying quietly. I did not say a word. I just sat next to her. I put my arm around her shoulders. We cried together. In that sad moment, we found each other again. Our shared tears broke down some of the tall wall between us. But the world outside went on. Other families laughed in the park. We heard children play on the street. But for us, time had stopped. It stopped on that sunny afternoon. We were stuck in that terrible moment forever. Our life became one long wait. Waiting for a phone call. Waiting for a knock on the door. Just always waiting. After some years, a small new light came to us. We had another child, a sweet baby girl. We named her Anna. Anna was not a replacement for James. No one could ever replace him, but she brought a gentle sound back into our quiet house. Her cry was the sound of new life. Her little smile was like the sun, but we were also very worried for her. We watched her every single moment. We never let her leave our sight. Our old fear made us very protective parents. Our love for Anna was huge, but our sadness for James was still there. It was like a shadow in every happy moment. One day, when Anna was 5 years old, she found a photo album. There was a picture of James, smiling with his red ball. She asked me, "Daddy, who is this little boy?" My heart hurt. It was a difficult question, but an important one. We decided to tell Anna everything about her big brother. We did not want him to become a sad secret in our family. We shared all the happy memories. We told her about his loud laughter. We told her about how much he loved his red ball. Anna listened with her big, curious eyes. James became real for her. He was the brother she had never met. Sometimes she would place a flower by his picture. It was her little way of saying hello to him. It was very sweet. We kept his memory alive for her. We talked about him often. He was always a part of our family story. This helped us heal in a new way. It did not take the pain away, but it changed how our sadness felt. Many years have passed now. I am an old man. My hair is white. My daughter Anna is a grown woman. I still think of my son James every single day. It is no longer a sharp pain. It is a quiet, steady ache in my heart. Sometimes I see a young man on the street and I wonder, does he look like James? Is my son that tall and strong now? I imagine speaking to him. I would ask, "Are you happy, son? Is your life good?" These are my silent questions. I wonder about his life. Does he have a family? Is he safe? Is he happy? These questions will never have answers. Our grief has become part of our lives. It is like the ocean. Some days it is calm, and some days there is a big storm. We have learned to live with the empty space in our hearts. We have learned to find happiness in the family we still have. I love seeing my daughter Anna with her own children. She is a wonderful mother. She is so full of love and life. Sometimes I see a glimpse of James in my grandson's smile. It is a bittersweet feeling, both joyful and sad. We never discovered what really happened on that sunny day. Our story has no clear ending. It is a story without a last page. We still hold on to a tiny bit of hope. It is like a small candle in a very dark room, but it is still burning. I will wait for my son for the rest of my life. A father's love does not end. A father's hope does not die. I sit on my porch and watch the world go by, waiting. I will always be waiting for my son James. In my hand, I often hold an old small toy. It is a little red ball, cracked and faded now, but I keep it safe. One quiet morning, as I sat on my porch with the red ball in my hand, I saw a young man walking down our street. He had dark hair, kind eyes, and a careful way of moving. For a moment, my heart jumped so high I thought it would break. He looked almost like James might look, grown up. My hands began to shake, and I stood up fast. I wanted to call out, but no words came from my mouth. The young man passed by our house. He smiled and nodded politely, but he was not James. I nodded back with a weak smile. When he left, I sat down slowly again. My heart was heavy, but I was used to that weight. I looked at the red ball and whispered, "James, if you are out there, I am still here." Anna came to visit later that day with her children. They ran around the porch, laughing and playing. Their laughter was bright and soft, like a warm light in the middle of my dark thoughts. Anna sat beside me and took my hand. "Daddy," she said gently, "do you want to come stay with us for a while? You don't have to be alone so much." I thought for a long moment. I loved my home. It held all my memories, but I also loved Anna, and I wanted to see her children grow. I nodded slowly. "Maybe soon," I told her. That evening, I went inside James's room. Everything was the same: his toys, his bed, his small shoes. I sat on the floor and looked around. I closed my eyes and imagined him there, laughing and playing with the red ball. For a moment, it felt real, like he had never left. When I opened my eyes, the room was quiet and still, but I felt a calm feeling in my heart. Maybe James would want me to keep living, to keep loving. I stood up, placed the red ball back on his shelf and whispered, "I will wait, but I will live too." The next morning, I packed a small bag. I was going to visit Anna and her family. I locked the door carefully and looked back at the house. It would always be James's home and my home, but I could carry him with me wherever I went. And so I walked down the path, the same path I had walked so many times. The sun was rising, warm and bright. I felt James with me, like a soft voice in my heart saying, "Go on, Dad, I am with you." When I reached Anna's house, her children ran to hug me. They pulled me inside, showing me their drawings and toys. Their voices were loud and full of life. It was different from the quiet of my own house, and it felt both strange and warm. Anna made me tea in her kitchen. She sat with me at the table and looked into my eyes. "Daddy, I know you still wait for James," she said softly. "I wait too, in my own way." I nodded. "He is always with us," I told her. That night, I stayed in Anna's guest room. I could hear her children sleeping down the hall. Their peaceful breathing reminded me of James when he was small. I closed my eyes and dreamed of him, running in the yard with his red ball, laughing and free. In the morning, I helped Anna's children with their breakfast. They smiled at me, happy to have their grandfather near. It made me feel useful again. Anna smiled too. Some days were still heavy. I would think of James and feel my heart break all over. But then I would hear my granddaughters laugh or see my grandson's bright eyes, and hope would grow in me again like a small light. One afternoon, Anna and I went for a walk. We passed a playground where children played. I watched them and felt tears in my eyes. "James would have been a good brother," I said quietly. Anna nodded. "And he would be proud of you, Dad. You never gave up on him." I took a deep breath. "I will never stop waiting," I said. Anna squeezed my hand. "I know," she said. That night, I wrote a letter to James. I told him about Anna's children, about their laughter and their dreams. I told him how much I missed him and how proud I was of him, even though he could not hear me. I folded the letter and put it in my pocket, close to my heart. As I sat on the porch at Anna's house, looking at the stars, I felt a calm feeling again. I still had hope, even after all these years. Hope was small, but it was enough to keep waiting, enough to keep loving, enough to keep living. Weeks later, I went back to my own house. The quiet felt heavy again, but I carried Anna's smiles and her children's laughter in my heart. That helped me. One evening, I stood by James's old room. I opened the door slowly. His toys were still on the shelf. His bed was still made. I sat down on the edge of the bed and held the little red ball. It was cracked and faded, but it still felt like James's hand was close. I closed my eyes and spoke out loud, like I was talking to him. James, I am still here. I am still waiting. I hope you are safe. I hope you feel my love. A soft wind came through the window. It made the curtains move, and for a moment it felt like a small answer. I took a deep breath and wiped my tears. The next morning, I visited the park near our house. I saw children running and playing. A little boy kicked a red ball across the grass. My heart jumped, but then I saw his mother come and hold his hand. I felt a small pain, but also peace, seeing him safe. I sat on a bench and watched the world. I saw fathers lifting their children, mothers laughing, families together. It hurt, but it also gave me courage. I was part of that world, even with my pain. Back home, I made a small promise to myself. I would keep James's memory alive, but I would also live for Anna and her children. I would be the grandfather they needed, the same way I was a father to James. I picked up an old notebook that night and started writing down every memory of James, every laugh, every word, every moment. I wanted his story to stay alive, to live on after me. When I finished the first page, I felt a small smile on my lips. The pain was still there, but writing made it softer. It made me remember love, not just loss. In the next weeks, I kept writing. Page after page, I wrote about James. I wrote about his funny jokes, about how he loved to chase butterflies, about his favorite songs. Every word felt like a small light in a dark place. Sometimes Anna would come and sit beside me. She read a few lines and cried softly. Then she would smile and say, "He would be proud of you, Dad." Her kind words made me strong. One afternoon, Anna brought her children to visit. They ran into James's old room. They saw his toys and asked questions. I told them about their uncle. I told them how brave and happy he was. They listened carefully, like his story was a treasure. Then they played with the little red ball. It made me nervous at first, but then I felt peace. I saw James's spirit in their happy faces. It was like he was playing too, through them. That night, I stood by the window. The stars were bright, and the sky was clear. I whispered, "James, you are still here. I see you in our family. I see you in our hearts." A gentle breeze moved the curtains again. It felt like a soft answer. My tears came, but they did not hurt so much this time. I went to bed feeling calm. The loss was still part of me, but love was stronger. My story was still going, and so was James's. In the next days, I worked in my small garden. The flowers were blooming. I planted some blue flowers near James's photo in the living room. They looked bright and strong, just like him. Anna came to help me. We talked about the past, about how hard those early years were. She held my hand and said, "Dad, you did your best. That meant so much to me." Later, I walked to the park. I sat on a bench and watched children play. Their laughter was like music. It reminded me of James. I closed my eyes and pictured him running with the other kids, smiling with his red ball. A young father sat next to me. He was teaching his son how to ride a bike. I smiled and told him, "Hold on to these moments. They are precious." The man nodded with a thankful look. When I went home, I looked at the little red ball again. I held it gently. It was not just a toy. It was a piece of my heart. That night, I wrote a few more lines in my notebook. I wrote, "James, you are my light. You are my courage. I will keep telling your story." My house was quiet, but I did not feel alone anymore. I felt James everywhere, in the stars, in the wind, in Anna's smile. Some more years went by. My hair turned all white. Anna's children grew tall and kind. They would often visit me and bring flowers for the small garden. Sometimes they asked about the boy in the old photo. I told them, "That is James, your uncle. He was full of joy." They listened with wide eyes and soft hearts. One evening, I sat on my porch. The sun was going down, painting the sky orange and pink. I held the little red ball in my hand. My heart was peaceful. I thought about James. I thought about Anna. I thought about how love had stayed in our house, even with the pain. I knew I would never stop missing my son, but I also knew he would never be truly lost. He lived in our stories, in our memories, in the way we loved each other. When the night came, I looked at the stars. I whispered, "James, wherever you are, I hope you feel my love." And I knew that as long as I was alive, I would wait for him. But I would also keep living, keep loving, and keep sharing his story. That was the end of my journey. My heart would always have an empty room, but it was no longer cold. It was warm with hope. And in that hope, I could rest. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more moving stories. Leave us a comment about what hope means to you. We would love to hear your thoughts.